There we go, I think I'm live there. Hello everyone. I'm doing again another live stream. Today it is 3 in the morning. On It is now Saturday the 14th. Obviously, it's the night of Friday 13th, as it were. So yeah, depending on where you are in the world, it may still be Friday the 13th. I'm not too sure. I was umming and ahhing as to whether or not to do a live stream now. Because I'm very tired, as you can possibly tell from my grogginess. I've woken up from a nap, so we will see how it goes. But yeah, I was very, very tempted to postpone until 7 in the afternoon or 8 in the afternoon, something like that. But I'm in work tomorrow, which means it'll likely be a midnight stream. Maybe a 3 in the morning. I don't know, because I'm in work a little bit later, but it's probably going to be a midnight stream. And my mum's in as well, which means I might not be able to investigate in the afternoon like I usually would if I was too tired to investigate now. So really, I should have investigated a couple of hours ago because of how tired I am currently, but it is what it is. So yeah, I'm going to start now. I just need to set up Spirit Talker. The tablet I'm streaming with, I forgot to charge. I plugged in the charge for it, just didn't plug the tablet into the charger. So same deal as with the camera. If it does die or seem like it's going to die, I'll end the stream there and then. It is on about 80 something percent, so hopefully this tablet will hold out. But we will see how it goes. So when I put Spirit Talker out, and then I'll light candles. I'll switch on the camcorder. Won't switch on Spirit Talker until camcorder's on though. So I've got the plasma ball on currently. Just quickly switching on the candles. Actually, I'll leave the candles because they are out of shot. So I'm going to set up the camcorder first. Because this is the thing that usually gives me issues because of the protected card thing. Please work. That's good, it works immediately, which is good. That's what we like to see. We don't like it sliding about though. Just check that you can kind of see everything. Yeah, I'll need to move the plasma ball into shot. Just so that then, yeah, there you go, you can see the plasma ball now. And then, flip. There you go, I have been charging the camcorder all day, well pretty much all day, so that should be good. I'll switch on Spirit Talker just to kind of begin things now. There we go, cat balls both on, although I do need to buy new cat balls because they are very, very drained. As am I for this investigation, but it is what it is. Child? If there is a child here, then, I've not really, I would say light up the bed, I've not put in the, yeah, Smith. Is that your name, Spirit? That was a weird noise. I assume that was from like the candle or the actual thing I used to light the candle with, but it was like a weird humming noise, like a kind of sound. Alright, I'm gonna need to relight these candles, won't I? Yeah, well that one's definitely dead. The other two were kinda dead. I'm gonna need more tea lights. 3. Wow. So, the estimated burn time for these tea lights, 3.5 hours.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Yeah, estimated burn time for these tea lights. That's an interesting thing, which I've always noticed on the packet. Estimated burn time, 3.5 hours. That's definitely not for the whole pack, because I've got a pack of like 100 tea lights. So, yeah, that doesn't work out, because you've seen how fast I've been going through these tea lights. I've investigated for, just kind of like an hour at a time, maybe an hour and a half. These tea lights are lasting about an hour, right? They're supposed to last 3.5 hours. There is no way that these are... So, I wouldn't notice that, because I am putting the tea lights going out to just... Oh, that's just... They're going out. So they are burning a lot quicker than they should be burning, right?
Wave.
So, Child, Smith, Wonderful, and Wave. Wave if you want, Spirit. Hello. If, I don't know, that's what you wanted me to do. But yeah, so those two are still lit. The rest are all lit. So I'm going to put the battery into the bear now. Oop, dropping the battery. Again, same battery I've been using for the past 12 days. The bear, has been lighting up a little bit more as the investigations progressed. I'm putting that down to the settling period because I want to just put the bear down. It is definitely getting towards dressing gown weather. Right, so just check. You can see that. Yeah, you can see that. I'm assuming you can see the board. Right, there we go. In the dark we are. I'm actually just going to check you can see the bear on the
Nora.
stream. I'm going to tilt that a bit more. There you are, that should be good. I can only see like half of the... Oh, is it because of me? I think so. Let's move that a little bit more like there, right? Yeah, because I think you still got that in the bottom corner of the shot there.
I'm so confused.
Oh, this is throwing out words. Nora, I'm so confused. There's no need to be confused, Spirit. No need to be confused. But that candle may have gone out now. Oh, it's still going, still going.
Whisper.
The time is about 3:10. Just so you're aware, whisper. There's no need to whisper, Spirit. No need to whisper. Can you light up the bear? I've put the battery in it now. I will say as well, just for the camera, I've had a nap, so I've been asleep from, I want to say 11ish, maybe. Just been kind of having a sleep on the chair, it was seemingly proper. So it wasn't like
There are demons.
proper, there are demons. That's interesting, Spirit. Can you tell me more about that? Now, one thing I find interesting is it has said more stuff to do with demons, doesn't it? As time's progressed. And it'll be interesting to look back on the footage, because I can't remember what day I started pushing it. I think it might have been day 10. Actually, no, was it day 10? Or was it before? It should have been day 10, really, or past day 10. But it'll be interesting to look at the footage to see when I got my book out, and to see from that point, was it saying anything about demons beforehand, or is it only after?
Breast ripper.
Breast ripper. I don't even know what that means. Yeah, interesting fact about spirit talk. I need to look more into it. But my granddad raised a really good point about it, which I kind of half forgot about. Because you know when you know something, but it's kind of at the back of your mind, so when someone reads it up, you're like, oh yeah, that's true, that is a thing. Um, Ages ago, my uncle looked into the app and said that it works based on phonetics. So it isn't a word bank of, it's not a list. The app doesn't consist of a list of words, which the spirit then picks from. Instead, it's using phonetics. It's grabbing sounds, as it were, like pairs of letters, and then shoving them together to make these words, to make these sentences. And that could be why we're getting random things. Could be. Because and that kind of answers as well the other day when I was saying about perhaps the spirit is misspelling things. And it's trying to say one particular thing, but instead it's saying a bunch of other things. It's kind of like the spirit's using autocorrect. When you type a particular word or sentence, and then it just
You heard us.
adjusts it. You heard us. Potentially direct response there. As I'm talking about trying to understand the spirit, saying about how maybe they're trying to say certain things, but it's coming out as other things instead. It then says you heard us, which is very interesting. If I heard you, can you light up the bear spirit? Also, important note to mention, my bag, I've got black rucksack type thing, which I usually just sit on kitchen counter or dining room table, and that fell off the counter. I don't know when. It was either at pretty much 3 o'clock, because I quickly went to the toilet before this, and that's when I saw it was on the floor. But I did hear the sound of what sounded like something falling. There's no guarantee it was that. It had nothing in it at the time, so it wasn't heavy or anything. And could have been precariously placed, but yeah, I heard something fall about 3 o'clock and saw my bag had gone on the floor. So it could have been then. Also, earlier on when I was going to sleep, I did hear kind of a scraping sound, but I put that down to the door. Because as you can see, the door is closed again. My mum is in tonight. So the door's closed to try and minimise sound going upstairs. And I did hear a scrape, so it could have been then. But it's an important thing to know, because last year when I was investigating... Salt? Alright. Last year when I was investigating around Halloween, it might have been the Halloween investigation, I'm not sure. I think I've written
I didn't
it down.
want to die.
You didn't want to die. Yeah, while I was doing that investigation, what happened was my bag did fall during that investigation. I think it was like 3 in the morning with Ouija board as well, and the bag had been still since about 10 in the afternoon. So I was like, that's coincidental that it's chosen to fall while I'm doing an investigation at 3 in the morning instead of any time before. So, again, bag falling potentially at 3. Like I said, might not have done, might have fallen much earlier. It hasn't fallen since that time it fell last year. So the fact it's fallen again now, I'm like, but that could just be me projecting onto it, being like, oh my god, I'm doing this investigation, stuff might be starting to pick up, the bag's fallen, maybe that's connected. But at the same time, maybe it's not. If the bear falls, however, that'll be significant, because the bear has been still through the entire investigation. Like, yes, it's lit up occasionally, but usually I've been like, okay, I want to just touch that, it might be settling period. Or, oh no, I've just been kind of moving around candles and stuff, might be whatever. But you could argue extended settling period for a couple of times, maybe for some reason. But if the bear falls over,
Beware.
then that's interesting. Beware. Why should I beware, spirit? See, because I need to try and look into these words as well, not just at face value, but also the phonetics. just in case it is a phonetic thing, which apparently it is, even though it's saying similar things, it's like it can repeat words. That's what makes it feel like a word bank. The fact it can say a number of things, and I know various people who have this app, and they're saying things like, oh, it has said a bunch of these names, it has said below, and stuff like that. And it's like, I've had that through it. If it's not a word bank, why is it saying the same words that I'm getting? It's like the other night I was watching the Overnight channel, and they said, for example, Elijah. I was like, mine has said Elijah before. So if it's phonetics, why are the same words popping up? Because a lot of their words, I was like, I've had that word before. And I've done extensive investigation of this app, and I don't understand it. I need to properly look into this app because I legitimately don't understand at all. Him? Because again, like him could be I'm if they're trying to spell something out, but
Reflections deceive.
reflections deceive. It's like, said that the other day. Okay, so it said beware and him. So who should I beware? And then reflections deceive. Again, that's a running narrative, isn't it? And even I didn't want to die, you could put into there. So I didn't want to die. And then it's warning me of someone. Were you murdered, Spirit? Were you killed by someone? In reflections deceive. Is that kind of its way of saying, like, appearances deceive? Sort of like acid reflux type thing. I never just woken up, but you're gonna have to deal with yawning occasionally. But it's weird because I don't feel particularly tired. I mean, I have just had a long nap, but
I can use this.
yes, you can, Spirit. You can use that. Again, kind of as I've just come off the back of explaining Spirit Talker and the Spirit trying to use it and things, it's then saying I can use this. Granted, that was a bit of a gap between me saying it.
Gertrude.
Gertrude, is your name Gertrude? If your name is Gertrude, you can light up the bear. All you have to do is touch the arms or the legs, put your energy into that if you want. Or tell me about yourself on this app. How old are you, Gertrude?
Mist.
Are you going to try and appear as a mist? Yeah, mist is one of those words where I'm like, maybe that's a misspelling or something. As in, it could be mist as in mist. MISSED. But it's spelled it as MIST. But again, makes me think, is it phonetics, is it a word bank? If it's phonetics, you're taking the sounds, so miss and then the t bit, but it's not a t, it's the ed. Because they sound the same, mist and mist. Are you missing something? Maybe that's what I'm going to do. I'm just trying to think of alternative words it could be meaning. Which is an idea partially inspired from the Overnight Channel, from the investigators from there. Because I can't remember what word it was that was said, but they got a word. Godfrey, that's what the word was.
Basement holds darkness.
The basement holds darkness. My God, that is interesting. Does it spirit? That's very interesting. If it's true. Can you tell me more about the basement spirit? Because that's something I'd very much so like to discuss. And I'm glad you've opened that door, if that is accurate. Because there is a cellar here. There is a basement. And this basement is dodgy. Because basically the floor of it, I don't know. I don't think I've said this on the stream at all. But the floor is kind of this muddy brick type stone-ish floor. It's not quite proper. It's not a proper floor.
She's here.
Who is here, Spirit? Yeah, it's not a proper floor, but it's, you can see it's kind of this rough stone brick, but with loads of loose mud type thing in between the bricks. It's that kind of oldie worldy type flooring, and then in the middle of the floor, you've just got this massive gravel patch where it looks like the floor has been dug up and then just filled with gravel as a random patch in the middle of the room. So since moving it, I straight away looked at that and went, that looks a bit dodgy, really. We've not dug up the gravel or anything. One potential explanation is that there's some sort of a sinkhole which has just been filled in. But like I say, it's not at all a proper floor, but it's very strange. And it's quite an old
My life was short.
house. She's here, my life was short. Again, my life was short. All of that can possibly tie into one another. So, I didn't want to die. That on its own is just, who wants to die kind of thing, I didn't want to die, and then it's suddenly warning me, beware him, reflections deceive. So that implies that there was someone who was murdered by a male, right? And then I can use this, and I'm like, oh, I can actually, you're understanding what I'm saying, I can talk through this device. My name's Gertrude. I was like, okay, hello Gertrude, and then Mist could, like I said, be missing something. And then basement holds darkness, perhaps dodgy basement, she's here. Is that Gertrude that it's referring to? Or is that, again, a misspelling? It could be he's here. With it being, referencing to him earlier. Perhaps all the times it's been saying she's here, she's scary, all that nonsense. Maybe that's a misspelling and it's just added an S on the start. And then my life was short, which again plays right back into the start of I didn't want to die. Oh, like I said, maybe I don't know, because again with him, that can't be misspelled. Because I was like, oh, maybe that's misspelled. It's like, no, it's not. Because him and her are both very different words.
How?
How? That's See, are you trying to understand how I'm understanding you, Spirit? Then how could be, I'm here piecing it all together. The Spirit could go, oh, how are you figuring this out? Maybe that one's reaching. That one's reaching a bit, but. Right, I'm just gonna light a couple more candles, Spirit. And if the bear goes off now, it's because I'm I'm messing about with these little tea lights. Yeah, what are you asking, Spirit? Because you just said how. Would you be able to elaborate on that at all? I mean, look how fast these tea lights go out. Because I mean, I'm swapping them out each investigation. Like all of the tea lights are being swapped out per investigation. There's no doubt about that, and it's supposed to last 3.5 hours. That was just the sound of one of the tea lights kind of falling from the little mountain of tea lights I'm creating. But again, notice how it is providing similar narratives each time in this location.
Mavis.
Mavis? Is your name Mavis?
He doesn't like you.
He doesn't like you. Okay, who doesn't like me? What is the name of the person that doesn't like me? So I'm going to assume the next name you say is the person that doesn't like me. That's be interesting to see if it's a male or a female name, because again, when it says he, it might be meaning to say she. Or when it says she, it might be meaning to say he. So, what's the name of the person that doesn't like me, Spirit? Just to clarify on the gender. I'll focus on a name of the person that doesn't like me. But again, it might not be one. So who doesn't like me, Spirit? Okay, maybe Mavis is the one who doesn't like me, you know? Because it could be someone saying, oh...
Infant.
Yeah. Infant? Does the child not like me? Because again, with Maggie, it's like, oh, Mavis is here, she doesn't like you, but it's accidentally said he. You know?
Harriet.
Again, Harriet. Is Harriet the infant? But again, I feel like the next name is the one that doesn't like me, so maybe that's confirmed. That it's trying to say she sometimes, but it accidentally has said he. Because all the only reason I'm questioning it is because it's not really. I mean, I could be wrong with this. I could look back through word lists, but from my vague recollection of previous word lists, hospital. Okay, that's interesting. Whenever it said something about a somewhat threatening spirit, it's been a she that it's been referring to, right?
We can whisper.
You can whisper. Yeah, you can whisper if you want, Spirit. Whisper into one of the devices I've got over on this side of the room. I've got one with the 2 little red lights over there. You can whisper into that device. You can also whisper into the device by the door over here. But yeah, but as I was saying, like, it's always been like a she, which has sounded somewhat threatening. So for me to then be like, not only that, the next name, who is it, kind of thing, and it, because already I was speculating, maybe it was saying about maybe Mavis is the threatening one. It was saying, Mavis is here, she doesn't like you, but it's accidentally said he. But then the next name is again a female with Harriet. So I don't know if Harriet is the infant, and I don't know if Harriet is possibly the one that doesn't like me. Because again, with the she's here, is that Gertrude that's here? Is that Mavis that's here? It's giving me three names: Gertrude, Mavis, and Harriet, all very different. So it's not like it's trying to repeat one of those names to clarify, look, this is the one that's here, but then misspelled it. And again, with it saying whisper twice, with whisper and we can whisper, but then the we implies that there are multiple spirits here. And again, it's implying that there is an adult spirit and a child spirit, because it said about children earlier, it said infant, so that means that there probably is a child, and there probably is an adult.
Ezekiel.
Ezekiel, that's an old name, very biblical old name there. Never has said that before on this app. Like I said, it said Elijah, Jesus, it has said religious things before, but Ezekiel, no. That's an angel, if I am not mistaken. Could just be someone with the name Ezekiel, but that's an old biblical name. Which, whenever it says anything regarding angels, I'm always wary. And with it having an increase of, say, about demons and things, I'm like, is there something pretending? Manifesting. Interesting word to say after I've just said, is it something pretending? And be like, no, it's manifesting. I was like, okay. Okay then. Again, it's one of those where like I could be projecting onto it as such, or like looking for things that aren't there, and that these could just be random words, and I'm like, oh, but that connects to that, that connects to that, that connects to that, when they might not be. But it's not quite as direct as it was the other day, but it still seems like it's getting there,
Dead don't rest.
Dead don't rest. Again, with me saying about communication and things, it's then be like, oh no, look, we are here, the dead don't rest. Potentially, And that's actually very, very, very interesting regarding a conversation I was having earlier with my mum. Because we were watching a new program, I can't remember what the program's called, but it was a new program where there was someone interviewing someone about paranormal experience, and they were looking into the experience and talking to skeptics and trying to debunk it and trying to figure out things about it. And there was a point where one of the skeptics had said, or I think they were parapsychologists, they said that even the most hardened skeptics, when it comes to graves and things, will be like, no, you can't dig up bodies and things, you can't do any of that, you need to let the dead rest, which implies that that there is still something there in regards to that person being alive in some capacity, and you having this innate feeling of no need to leave them be. And it's like, if it's just a body, why is that an issue? And skeptics just kind of can't answer that, or just so I can hear next door, I just heard next door then. Just for if I'm watching back the footage and suddenly hear a female voice trip. Again, is it meaning trip as in kind of like a trip down memory lane? But again, that is really reaching, because I'm remembering things, But yeah, so it's just interesting that it said don't rest, because it reminded me of that conversation I had with my earlier, where it's like, where I was discussing what the parapsychologist had said, and one was saying, oh no, but it was mean like they rested, and that was their last wishes. They want to be just kind of laid to rest, like literally left there, and left intact and things. I was like, well no, because the word rest, it means to rest. It is a verb. So, you know, so that's interesting. That it said that don't rest because that it doesn't play into anything I've said now particularly, but it does play into a conversation I had earlier on with my mum. But again, could just be me projecting onto that, and just and making connections where there potentially are none. Down. That's a vague word. You could be meaning down as in below. Patience. And that was as in, relating to the hospital. Ooh, that could be interesting. Because that could relate to one of the dolls, if my memory serves me right. Kiss? And again, even hospital could relate to one of the dolls, potentially. And you know what? I don't know if Harriet is the name of one of the dolls. I don't think it is. From memory, of the dolls' names, which it's been ages since I've looked into it, William and Marie, I think, were the two newest dolls. Which is interesting, I think it has said William a few times. Might have said Marie a few times as well, actually. I'm not sure. We'll have to look back through the word list to see how often these are coming up. Because that's what will be significant. I think Violet is the name of one of the dolls. And I think Larry is the name of one of the dolls. The other three I'm not too sure on. I want to say one of them might be called Margaret. One of them might be called... No, I can't remember the name. I can't remember the names though. Because there's the two main ones in the middle on the top shelf where I'm like, I can't remember their names. Wife. Yeah, I was going to say earlier on with it saying down and patience. I think one of those, the spirit attached to it might have had Down syndrome. So, and might have been in the hospital, I think was the story behind it, potentially. So for it to have said hospital, for it to have said down and then patience, and then, I'm just like, And then for it to say kiss and wife, that's very, very similar things. Well, like related things, not similar, but related. Then again, that might be the saying that they're a wife. It might be saying that, they're finding their wife. A lot of the words are in need of heavy interpretation. It's why it's a good thing about doing the 28 Days Out by investigating so much over a month. Yeah. Just had a look at the board, because obviously I don't pay attention to it, but when I looked at it, the letter F was in the
Green
circle
hair.
pretty perfectly. Green hair. That's interesting. Yeah, so I looked down on the planchette and it was on the word F, like perfectly. That's why you probably saw me on the night vision camera just kind of moving it back and forth, because I was trying to test to see whether or not I could have like relaxed my hand or something just to try and put it perfectly over the F. But not that I can find. So with the Ouija board, I'm going to put it down to probably just relaxing my hand or just various movements, but for it to have kind of drifted its way over to the F without me not noticing, maybe it's me subconsciously moving it, maybe it's legitimately moving, I don't know, but important thing for me to mention, I feel. Yeah, Spirit, if you want to move the planchette, feel free to move the planchette. Interesting that said green hair, because there's a couple of on YouTube called the Grim Life Collective, and the other day I was very, very happy because so they're from America and they did a video where they visited Alton Towers.
Wolves hold secrets.
Walls hold secrets. That's interesting as well. Yeah, but they visited Alton Towers, and Alton Towers, my absolute favourite place. And so they made me very happy to see that, you know, a channel that I watch, you know, American couple, because they go around various, you know, scare attractions and things. They look around with the lights on and admire the beauty of it all. And they like Gothic settings, they like going to graveyards and whatnot, and just the dark side of history and whatnot. They like discussing that. And, you know, just kind of taking in the beauty of the macabre. So it made me very, very happy that, you know, on their Europe road trip thing that they're doing. Oh, I know I'm still ill with a cold. So apologies for any disgusting noises from my nose. But it made me very happy that when visiting England, they visited Alton Towers. Because I was like, oh, I think I love Inner Alton Towers. Because I like Inner Alton Towers.
Florence.
Florence? Hello, Florence, if you're here. Yeah, because Alton Towers, it's got this big Gothic manor house in the middle of it, which they kept calling it a castle, and that kind of bugged me a bit that they kept calling it a castle. But I'm pretty sure it's not a castle. To anyone who isn't used to castles and things, you'd look at it and be like, that's a castle. But don't know if that was my stomach. Don't know if that was something else, but I just kind of heard a kind of a noise from kind of that direction. So towards the corner of the room. So you've got the door over there, and then you've got this kind of back wall along where the chair is. That back corner, I'd heard kind of a noise. Could have been my stomach, actually.
Yes, over here.
Yes, over here. Well, that's relevant, isn't it? Are you over there, Spirit? In that corner? See, now I suddenly feel quite cold and, you know, like goosebumps type thing. Sounds interesting because this is why I've been waffling as well, because I find quite often when you just waffle, you can have a lot of activity kind of happening, especially if you're like, because that's a way of giving energy out, right? By infusing in something. So by me doing all the speculation and by infusing in something, suddenly mid-conversation, I don't know whether or not it would have caught it on camera, I doubt it would have. So the significant thing there isn't necessarily if it's been caught on camera, but the fact I've been like, oh, over in that corner, yes, over here. That coincidental timing. Who's over in that corner, Spirit? But yeah, as I was about to say, lots of creaking.
Evelyn.
Evelyn. Again, they may pronounce it like Evelyn. I'm like, is it saying evil in? Because again, like I was saying earlier on about the overnight channel, Godfrey was the word that they said on their thing, and they took it as a name, being like, oh, you call Godfrey. And then they thought, oh, what does it mean? Are they God free, as in free of God? So that's how this might work. So it's just said Evelyn, but pronounced it Evelyn, so it could mean evil in. You know? Two. Does that mean that there are two spirits here, perhaps? Yeah, so as I was saying about the Grim Life Collective, because I got a bit sidetracked, yeah, I was watching their video about Old Towers and really, really enjoying that. But the interesting thing, which is what brought me onto it, was this has just said green hair. And the girl from the Grim Life Collective, you've got man and woman, I'm pretty sure husband and wife, which again, interesting that said wife, and then it said green hair. She has green hair. But that's like very, very, the most blatant feature of her is that she's got this like lime green hair. So maybe it's referring to that. Because again, with me kind of going down that route of, oh, is the spirit referring to something I've watched on the telly? Granted, I didn't watch Grim Life Collective on the telly. But with them possibly listening to conversations and then saying like with Dead Don't Rest, being like, trying to get in on the conversation, like now when all is done, and then suddenly it's saying about green hair, has it seen me watch Grim Life Collective? And then saying about, oh, who's the person's wife with the green hair? Maybe? Feel? I'm trying to say how that works, but, you know, so my brain is being like, ooh, how does that relate? How does that relate? How does that relate? Evelyn to feel? Maybe two as in was like two?
I'm glad you're here.
Oh, thank you, Spirit. I'm glad you're here as well. I'm glad we can have these conversations. I'm glad that you're actually talking a bit more. Or at least it seems like you're talking a bit more, or being a bit more direct, you know? Because it said two as in the number, so TWO. Maybe it meant two as in just TO or TOO. Because if it's going off phonetics, maybe it's misspelling things. So Evelyn to feel could mean like maybe Evelyn wants to feel something, or maybe emotion wise, maybe physically, I don't know. Military. It's been a while since it said something to do with the military. It's just saying a lot of female names today, like a lot of female reference, which makes me wonder when it is saying stuff like he's here. Maybe it is meaning she's here. Would you like to elaborate more on the military spirit? Because that's something that you've said about previously. Did something happen to you? Cold. It is quite cold today, Spirit. It is quite a cold day. As I can't sit here being like, oh, it's unusually cold, because it is the middle of October. Again, my nose is just gone. The weather has... Florence? Pretty sure it's said Florence before. Is your name Florence, Spirit? Yeah, the weather's gone downhill with, bit of wind, bit of rain. And again, with the same walls hold secrets. So he did say Florence earlier. He said Florence immediately after walls hold secrets. Walls hold secrets is again a conversation I tend to have because of the overnight channel. They've got a theory that it's not necessarily a spirit within the house haunting it, but rather people live in a house, they exert energy over time, that energy goes into the house and somewhat brings the house to life and gives it a spirit of its own. Which I've been doing a good bit of thinking about, about just in general what is life, because like with plants, Helen, again, all these female names, so many women, so many female names being spoken. So I think that's well and truly confirmation that whenever it said anything regarding he, it's meaning she, right?
I was wealthy.
You were wealthy? That was quick as well, straight away. Helen, I was wealthy. The most interesting thing is going to be looking through all these word lists, which I will upload to Facebook. I'm aware that we are past day 10 now, so I will upload the first 10 lists of the investigation to Facebook. I'll do that probably tomorrow at some point. And I'll put them in their own thing. I'm not going to upload them.
I was sick.
You were sick? Why were you sick, Spirit? What was wrong? Yeah, I'm aware that they're going to be somewhat out of order. I've got loads of word lists to upload first. But yeah, I will upload the first 10 word lists I've done and put them in their own album under the 28-day cycle, because this is its own little bubble, because it's all back-to-back pretty much investigations, so I will have that in its own thing. And then later on I'll re-upload them and put them in the relevant things, so either just the general words list one, well, that's interesting. Right, important thing to note, when the door is closed, there is a draft. I don't know if Alan's window's open. I don't know if it's a case of just there's a natural draft through the building. Like I say, it's cold in here. But at the moment, I've got the plastic sheet over the door. There is a draft, like it's not stuck down at the bottom. There is a draft going through the gap between the door and the wall.
The
living, interesting. There was such a strong draft then that looking towards the door, I don't know if the camera would have picked it up because there might be stuff here in the way blocking it. But there was such a strong draft, I could see the bottom corner, and it wasn't just like the bottom corner, it was like all the way up to the handle. So you might be able to see where the windows are, like the lower windows. It was kind of up to that lower window. Oh, there you go, just did it again and again. But I can see that physically moving because the draft is that strong. Because that's why I just suddenly stopped and looked over there, because I was like, I can hear rustling. I was like, what is the rustling? I was like, oh, it's the thing from the door.
The battery.
The battery? I mean, that's still going. This is still going. That's still going. I can see that properly moving. Yeah, so going back to when Well Solved Secrets was being said, because I think that's what I was talking about. Yeah, the overnight channel speculated about it being the actual walls, about the actual house itself, which is somewhat haunting it, so that you are kind of living within a conscious living thing. So with saying walls have secrets, maybe that's what it's referring to. Or maybe it's more than just a dodgy seller. But I don't know. It's interesting. Again, like I say, with the word, it'll be very interesting to look through the word lists, which I'm not going to do until the end of the investigation. I saw a post saying something like, from the 15th of October, the veil starts thinning, and then it takes the list on the 31st, and then the portal closes on the 10th of November. So I'm likely going to be investigating until the 10th of November. Maybe just after. I might go until like the 20th of November. Joshua, again, the first male name that's been said. The first male name. Hello, Joshua, if you're here. If I'm at all on the right lines, please sign up for bear with any of this. Use my energy user engine from the Plasma Ball to do that. Yeah, so so it's all about portal close on the 10th of November. So from here, in theory, this is going to kick out more direct responses. I might get the bell lighting up more. I would hope so, especially with 20-day cycle. This is why I wanted to start early October, so that then not only when I investigate on the 31st, which I will do, is there hopefully going to be a good bit of activity, but it should be ramped up because of me already having investigated for a ton of days. Unexplained. Again, that's rustling a lot. That's one thing, having that door closed. Because there is a draft, so it's like, is it paranormal while it's moving? Is paranormal closing the draft? Is it just a draft? Because my mum's doing it, might be open. Probably that. Yeah, so the point with the walls thing, maybe the spirit's been watching. You know, maybe the spirit has been watching things that I've been watching on YouTube. The rack. See, the shelves that the dolls are on look a bit like a rack, in a way. Paranormal? You saying that the dolls are legitimately haunted, Spirit? It's not saying anything about dolls. Because you know, the only rack you need is kind of the shelving unit type thing that the dolls are on. And straight it's like paranormal. I was like, okay. Now if it said dolls, I'd be like, yep. They're referring to the dolls, very clearly. Because surely you can say that if it's just going off phonetics as well. But that's if it is going off phonetics. I don't think it goes off phonetics, I think it goes off a word bank. Or at least, because the app goes through clear updates or clear tweaks. Because there was a point in time where it started saying loads of Latin. It's like loads of Latin. You'll see those word lists because they did a couple during that time. And I was like, well, why is it saying so much Latin? And now it's not saying hardly any Latin. So clearly something's been tweaked to allow it to just throw out all this Latin, and then it was tweaked back again to restrain that. If it was working purely on phonetics, if a spirit wanted to speak Latin, it could speak Latin. Right? But, you know, he wouldn't suddenly decide, he wouldn't wake up one day and be like, hello, Agatha, another female name. He wouldn't wake up one day and just be like, you know what, in the mood for a bit of Latin today, and then suddenly all the spirit talk is just Latin. So that, to me, says it's a word bank, and when it was saying Latin, they dumped a bunch of Latin words in there, right? Or at least something was adjusted so that it could start speaking way more Latin. It's like the Latin, like, select languages, the Latin box is suddenly ticked. I was like, whereas now it's been unticked. Or at least maybe it's going through a process of translating words. I don't know. So maybe they've added a feature where, it was saying as Latin and now it's not just saying the Latin, it's taking the Latin and then translating it. Maybe that's where the misspelling's coming from, because it's not direct translations. Maybe that's one way it's working. But again, for it to do phonetics, there needs to be more to it than just the phonetics. It's saying repeated words. It's saying not just repeated words, but also across different devices with different people using it. It's saying the same things. So it's like it does have a word bank of
He's here.
a couple of hundred words. Again, he is here. Who is here, Spirit? And the fact it's repeated, the he, makes me wonder, is it legitimately a he? Because the amount of female names it's been spitting out, I'm like, but it's not said a male name. Well, it said Joshua. Can you say the name of who is here? Who is the he that is here, Spirit? Because it could be Joshua, but it could be someone else. Who is here? Who are you referring to? Again, it just said Agatha, so maybe it's meaning Agatha, she's here. Yeah, who is here, Spirit? If you say a male name now, then that means that you are intending on saying he. I'm scratching my ankle, by the way, if you hear. It's kind of a scratchy noise. But who is the he? Need to light more candles. Again, all these candles going out. I've been investigating for about an hour now. I've swapped out every single candle. Sit. I'm already sitting down, Spirit. Again, who is it that is here? Who is the he? Because this is something, you can either repeat a name that you've already said. So if it is Agatha that you're referring to, you can repeat Agatha. Or you can say a male name. So if it was Joshua that's here, you could repeat Joshua. Or you could say a completely different name. So who is the he that is here? Because I think you've figured out how to use the app by now. Or at least one of the spirits here has. Because we've had a pretty decent conversation at times. So someone present clearly knows how to use it. Like I'm saying with the candles, I've messed it for an hour and I've not swapped out every single candle. All candles are being swapped out at least once per investigation. Or at least once per 2 investigations, which means that they're lasting at most 2 hours, not 3.5. Five. Can you count backwards? She's here, sit 5. I mean, there's kind of 5 minutes left of the investigation from where I usually investigate. So that's somewhat interesting. So it'll be interesting actually to see if it said 5 at roughly the 55-minute mark of the investigation, because usually I investigate for an hour. Or at least I aim to for at least an hour. Is it feeling smart? I mean, I've just woken up for a nap. I'm feeling a bit more energized. So of course, from that point of view, I'm going like, oh, it feels like there's a bit of energy here, So there's that. But you know, it's weird because, like I've said before, I wouldn't class here as a haunted location. On a scale of haunted locations, this is like a 1 out of 10. You have occasional instances of, oh, that's a bit weird. Like with the bag falling earlier, I was like, oh, that's a bit weird. But yeah, that you've seen on the live stream, the bear's not been going off constantly. When it has gone off, I've been able to go, like, you know what, maybe that's a settling period, maybe that's me interfering with it somehow. The cat balls haven't gone off as far as I'm aware. I think that's one outside, maybe. Either outside or next door. And, you know, as for actual anything happening, noises,
Stay.
whatnot, stay. Now that's interesting. Just as I'm saying, oh, has it said that because it's 5 minutes after the investigation? Is it a case of, back next with itchy? And you know, we can be like, oh, usually I can stay for about an hour. That implies I'll be wrapping up, and then suddenly that said stay. It'll be interesting actually to see how horse. Okay, that's a bit of a random one. Interesting to see, because I feel like quite often towards the end of an investigation it says something regarding the stay, right? That's how I'm feeling about that. That's going to be an interesting thing to look into, to see how close to the hour mark this has said stay, or stay here, or something like that. Because I've made it very clear I'm going to investigate for at least an hour. So an hour passes, and then suddenly the spirit's like, ooh, don't stay here.
Bad entities here.
Bad entities. Which entities are here? Which bad entities? Because I've not really seen any evidence of that. Sure, the app has said things like the devil is real and all that, but it's not. I've not experienced anything spirit to indicate that there is a bad entity here. Aside the dodgy seller and the app constantly saying warning things regarding a potential
Mary Ann.
Mary Ann. See, that's interesting. I asked what bad entities are here, and it responds with Mary Ann. And that's a strange name. Is Mary Ann one of the bad entities? I don't think he'd said that before. I don't think he has said Mary Ann. Usually it says Mary or it says Anne. It doesn't say both in one thing. Mary Ann. Maybe it means like Marion? Just trying to think like maybe it meant to say one name but it has said two. Visitor? Is Mary Ann visiting? Again, Mary Ann does sound a bit like Marion. It's a good thing as well by like me recording the sessions because it means that I can look back and see my speculation. So when analysing the word lists, I think what I'll do is analyse the list first by looking through making notes.
She screams.
She screams. So it's Mary Ann that screams. Potentially. Okay. That's good to maybe get some sort of answer on that. Yeah, so I think when analysing the words, I'll probably sit down, look at the list, make my notes on the words themselves. Obviously anything regarding numbers is subjective. No, not subjective, it's objective. Subjective means to do with, you know, your own interpretation, doesn't it? Whereas objective is there is no interpretation to it, it is just, it is a fact. Yeah, I think that's what objective and subjective. But either way, looking at the particular words, your interpretation of it can change over time. So I'll probably look at that first, and then I'll watch back the footage from the investigation and make notes on what I've said regarding my own thoughts here and now as they're coming through, of being like, oh, this could connect to this could connect to that, and see how well they line up. Because obviously when I'm going to be looking through these lists, it's going to be like a month later at the very least. Because I started on the first, technically the morning of the second. Well, there's no technically about it. It was the morning of the second, but early morning, which is
I'm
why
only
it's
7.
a bit off. You're only 7. Again, that reference with kids. Referencing with kids. Who is only 7? What's the name of the spirit who is only 7? Get interesting it said name. It'll be interesting to look through word lists and see if it is saying names. Because it might have said that they're 7 before. If it has, that's very specific. Because it's one thing for the word list to spit out names and ages and things. It's another for it to say the same names or the same ages across lists in this location. Taylor! Okay, that's good. I asked for a name, you give me a name. Thank you very much, Taylor. So, Taylor is only 7 years old then, right? So, Taylor... Again, I don't know if that's one of the names of the dolls. I don't think it is. I don't think it... Oh, what's Violet's last name, Taylor? That's interesting. Now, I'm going to take that your name is actually Taylor then. If your name is Taylor, there's a lovely white bear here on the floor. Oh, that was a car. I originally saw like a flash of light. I was like, what was that? It's a car going past. Sorry, Taylor. So, Taylor, there's a bear here. If you touch the arms and the legs, they will flash different colours. And yeah, it shouldn't harm you, won't scare me, anything like that. You can play with the bear, it'll flash different colours. It'd be very interesting to see if you could do that. You can use the energy from the plasma ball, this ball here, you can use that energy. You can use my own energy if you need to light up the bear. Because I feel like Violet's last name was Taylor, but again, I don't know for sure. But that was... I'm gonna assume your name's Taylor. Because it said, I'm only 7. I was like, oh, who is only 7? What's the only person who's only 7? I think I said this. I'll have to look back on the footage, and then straight away Taylor. I was like, okay, that seems definitive, right? But interesting. We're progressing through the 20-day cycle. We're approaching the 15th of October, which is when the veil is supposed to start thinning.
Many died here.
Many died here. Why did they die here, Spirit? See, my impression of this location is that there's maybe 3 spirits here. I know it just said many died here. But you've got maybe 4 spirits. There's a child, maybe a man, maybe a woman, and then there's someone saying about war, which that one might relate to with the many dying here. Why did many die here, Spirit? Or with all the female names being spoken and a potentially dodgy seller, you know, that is on the cards. You know, you don't know. It's just that has been rattling around the back of my head with all these female names coming through, and with the potentially dodgy seller with saying that there's darkness in the basement, or you know, I'm just like, Well, why did many die here, Spirit? You gave a really quick response when I asked who was only 7. Or at least it felt like a really quick response. So, why did many die here? I'm going to have to end the stream in a moment, probably, because it's been about an hour. But where the camcorder can, the SD card goes
Forest.
for about an hour. Forest. Was there a forest here, Spirit? Was there a forest here? I'll let you say one more word to kind of elaborate on the forest. Because again, this is a theme that has been running through as well.
Unfinished business.
Unfinished business. Okay. I'm going to do what I usually do, Spirit, where I'm going to be quiet for the space of 3 words, and I'll have my eyes closed through it, okay? My hands on the planchette, my eyes are closed, and I'm quiet. So you can say 3 words. Now it's also time for you to light behind the balls if you just didn't want me to see for whatever reason.
Blood. I can use this. Paddy.
Okay. Oh, sorry about having to clear my nose partway through that then. As I do still have a cold, which I've had now for like throughout the entire investigation. Because I think it was the morning of the second that I first started feeling. So the words that were spoken throughout that were blood, I can use this, and paddy. Oh my god. Um, yeah, that's interesting words. Blood seems somewhat unrelated, right? Might time when he died here, I'm not too sure. Might be tying in with the family thing that it usually starts saying about. Um, but then, speculation that really is reaching. Because just looking at face value, I wouldn't make those connections. I can use this, again, referring to, I can actually use this device. She's somewhat understanding potentially. And Paddy could be a name. Could be the name of the male person that I've been asking for ages. Um, could also, Paddy is kind of an English slang term for a tantrum. Um, so might be relating to the child, might be saying that they've had a tantrum, I'm not sure. Maybe they're upset because I wasn't speaking. Um, but that's all speculation. They're three quite. I can use this as the most kind of expected thing for it to have said.
I came from a dark place.
I came from a dark place. Where did you come from, Spirit? Which dark place did you come from? I'm going to put my hand on the planchette. Which dark place did you come from? Come on, let me know. Which dark place did you come from, Spirit? It's so creepy on the thing on the door. Then I don't know whether or not you'd have heard that on the camera then. But not only was that kind of rustling, but that sounded like finger taps on it as it was rustling. So you just see me like gesture then doing that. I could like hear a faint as if there was like slight tapping on the plastic, and then it just suddenly did one big rustle again. Did you get? There is a draft through the side of the door. This is the thing with the door. If the door was open and it was doing it, I'd be like, that's a bit stranger, because the draft is kind of intensified. Like I can put my hand next to the door and I can feel the draft coming through. So part of me thinking that, but then at the same time, the draft doesn't tap. You know that? Attack? Interesting. That that ain't a draft. Surely. And for it to have that pattern of like the big crinkle where I was like, that sounds like something's tapping on there at the same time. And then I'm hearing that tapping, and then suddenly another big crinkle and then it stops. And wouldn't the draft be kind of more consistent? I'm just going to get up and... Spirit, while I'm doing this, if you could say goodbye on the device, that would be fantastic. I'll give you 2 words to say, like 2 words time to say goodbye, if that makes sense. So the next 2 words you say on this device, it would be fantastic if at least one of those was goodbye in some way. I'm just going to put my hand next to the door, just feel the draft. So an interesting thing about that draft is I could feel it then. I can't hear the plastic, I can't see it move, but I could feel it against my fingers. It wasn't very strong of a draft, so granted the draft might be kicking up now and then. Just general weather things could mean that the draft picks up. Like I say, my phone's window could be open. But it's strange. It's just one of those strange things. I'm like, I don't know. Especially with the tapping. That tapping, that constant, because you'd have seen on the footage, we're just going to investigate, that's related, because I'm investigating this potential draft. But yeah, I am investigating, Spirit. Can the next word you say be goodbye? Because that's your first word out of the 2. So can the next one be goodbye? Or good night, something like that? Evening, anything related to that? But yeah, so you just seen on the camcorder me doing this. Right, and you've seen that's a rhythmic thing. As far as I'm aware, a draft isn't quite that rhythmic. Could be wrong with that, but it's just interesting how it was that tapping sound. And I don't know if you'd have heard it on the camcorder. You may have heard the crinkling and that rustling from when it's been moving, especially when I've been quiet, but I don't think you'd have heard that slight tap. I could be wrong, you could have heard the tap, but I could be wrong, you could hear it, but I don't know. Again, cars going past, where if you've seen lights on like the live stream. Come on, Spirit, can you say goodbye on that device? I'm not going to say goodbye on the board. I'm going to leave that all as it is. Because I've not been saying goodbye on the board, I've not been removing the planchette from the board, I have been leaving that.
Many soldiers here.
Many soldiers here. Again, that thing of war, with it saying many died here, and I was like, maybe that's relating to the war that it keeps talking about, right? I think I said that at the time. And now it's saying many soldiers here. That's interesting. Okay, well I'm going to call it a night now, Spirit, because I've been investigating for like an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to switch this off, so thank you very much, Spirit. I'm going to switch off the cat balls. I was actually far more awake through that investigation than I thought I would be, which is good. Now I'll switch off the camcorder, because again, camcorder is the reason why I don't go on for too long, because the SD card, well, and the battery as well, I have been charging the battery of this, and yeah, SD card and battery are a bit iffy, they last about an hour, so I'm kind of pushing it once I get past that hour mark. But yeah, thank you very much to everyone on YouTube for watching the video, if you had been watching it. Don't know what that noise was that I just heard, but yeah, thank you for watching. It's been an interesting session again. Again, same kind of themes being said through the investigation. Might actually have a name now of one of the spirits, possibly being called Taylor. 7-year-old girl called Taylor, maybe. So I'll try and ask about that in the next session, because I'm aware that one thing I've not been doing is picking up on various things and trying to be like, who's the soldier? Like, going into the investigation with knowledge and then being like, let's build on that. I've not been doing that yet. But now that we're kind of like halfway-ish, I'm like, you know what, I feel confident enough in what it usually says that I can be like, let's build on that. So yeah, possibly 7-year-old girl called Taylor. Might be the name of one of the dolls, you know. Might be the last name of one of the dolls. I have a feeling that Violet's last name is Taylor. I don't know how old she's supposed to be. I'm not going to look until next month after the investigating is done, because obviously confirmation bias. So already, with me kind of already having heard the name of the dolls, I'm like, maybe I'm projecting onto it. But it's one of them. I'm like, So, but I don't have a clue how old she is. So if the girl supposedly attached to that doll, if it's called Taylor, is 7, then that's significant, I would say. Because I have no memory of how old she's supposed to be. So, I don't even know if I've got an age for it, but yeah. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye. There we go. So that's the webcam off. Not webcam, the camcorder. Don't know why I said webcam. Yeah, so thank you very much for anyone who's watched the live stream or reacted or commented, anything like that. Again, it has been an interesting stream, as you'd probably heard me say on the YouTube one then. I genuinely do think that one of the spirits could be called Taylor, possibly 7-year-old girl, that might be that spirit. Beforehand though, like last year when I was investigating, I did determine it was potentially a boy spirit, but I don't know, could be wrong. Because that was stuff I was determining with the K2, and the K2 can be iffy regarding the Wi-Fi. It's why I've not used it this investigation. It's why I've traded it for the plasma ball, because I feel like the plasma ball's kicking out a good amount of energy for spirits to potentially use. It's why I've not been using the REM pod, because there's just, it's a small space, there's a house either side, you've got a lot of Wi-Fi and things, and just general signals coming from various devices, so I'm like, the K2 and the REM pod probably not the best to use here, because it's not an isolated location, it's not remote, it's quite well connected. So you've got potential technological interference. I'm like, that's a bit. If I could guarantee, it's not any of these things, then I'd use them. But I think the plasma ball is a better trade because it, like I say, potentially kicking energy out into the atmosphere, which is very much so needed in a location where not only has the Spirit said a number of times about them needing energy, but like I said, they're not active here. It's not an active location, so you don't really need a plasma ball somewhere where they might have loads of energy already. Whereas here, you kind of need it. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully, again, another promising word list. We'll see how this continues. By the time it reaches Halloween, maybe we will be having fluent spirit communication because it's feeling like it's picking up a lot. And like I said earlier about the 15th, apparently it's the 15th of October where the veil starts thinning, if the whole barrier between worlds thing is true. So we'll see this. Like I said, this experiment tests out so many different things at once. It's testing out the validity of the Ouija board. It's testing out the validity of the 28-day cycle. Also the validity of the whole veil lifting on the 15th and becoming thinnest on the 31st, and then the portal closing on the 10th, I think it was. It's testing out all of those in one go, which is fantastic. So yeah, we'll see how it all goes. And also, like the plasma ball kicking out energy, testing out a lot. The haunted dolls, there's so much as the purpose of this. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.